One last little blurb here for the legals out there. Trading is dangerous. You could lose everything. Don't do it. Just want to say hello real quick. It's been a long week. I appreciate everybody here today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hey, Chris. Balwinder, Bob, good to see you. Leroy. What's up, Rob? Steven? Dave, what's going on, man? My name is Michael, and I'm one of the founders here of backtothefuturetrading.com. We specialize in trade timing. We believe markets move in large part, if not entirely, due to an underlying sequence of predictive time signals. And if you're willing to hang out with me for an hour or so, I can show you some pretty cool stuff if you're up for it. Who's up for it? Anybody? Let's do it. Many times we are the last gas station on the highway for a long line of traders who have done poorly, to say the least, been taken advantage of by marketing machines and pretty slick, fraudulent gurus. So if you're kind of wondering, hey, it's been several years, how come I still lose money? Why have I spent tens of thousands of dollars on programs and blown accounts out time and time again, evaluation or PA accounts and Apex over and over again? You're in the right place, and I want you to know that it's okay. Where you are right now is okay. And I believe in you. It's going to be all right. And if we're not the best fit for you, that's fine. I promise you'll learn something by the end of today's webinar, though. So one of the things that we do that's pretty unique is
order canceled.
Take a quick peek here. A quick peeky poo. We have a pretty awesome webinar experience where, here we go, every Tuesday, every week for the last 15 years. And fun fact, we've been around for 15 years. Thank you for helping be a part of that if you're a customer. We send out these crazy histogram times with the presumption that days later, something might happen. So I'll show you in a minute what we send out, but on Tuesday, if you've been taking our video demonstration on our webpage, you have access to 2 days worth, Wednesday and Thursday, 2 days worth of predictive signals. Now those signals look like this. Thank you for participating in our test of these powerful tools. And on Thursday, wow, 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 wow. Pull this over here. You'll see since Tuesday, we've been waiting for this signal, these signals. Make sure they're the right ones, 925, 1040, yes. Now, according to the good people at Screencast, this screenshot in its present formation was available to the community 2 days ago. There it is. Uno y dos. Or cuatro menos dos es dos. Number two, 2 days ago. The program was warning us that there were behavior patterns in place. What does that mean? It means that this particular iteration of our software assumes that timing is important, assumes that markets will move at certain times, and most notably, assumes those times are knowable in the future. Mind blown. Assumes those times are knowable in the future. And so we've been waiting since Tuesday for selling pressure at 9:25 Eastern Time. We've been waiting since Tuesday for selling pressure at 1:25 and 3:50 Eastern Time. We've been waiting since Tuesday for buying pressure at 8:20, 10:40, 3:45, and 4:50. The audacity, the sheer audacity of us to presume such things. Now, before we go any deeper, I want you to see that this isn't, relatively speaking, this isn't a new idea, right? There are other people and other ways of analyzing markets predictively. Let me show you what I mean. Because some of the stuff is pretty blankety blank cool. This is a chart of gold futures. Those of you who don't know what gold is, you could go to Costco now and ask somebody, and somewhere between the oranges, the rotisserie chicken, and the giant large screen TVs, they're selling ounce bars of gold. And you can ask somebody and say, hey, what's going on with the gold? And what we've been doing is telling customers that something really cool has been happening for a really long time. At each of these green signals, Mr. Snowman, bong, 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 Mr. Snowman. What happens at the green signals, the large green dots, and what tends to happen at the large red dots on this chart? Anybody? I know it's kind of rhetorical. I know it's a little rhetorical and self-evident, but it's important for me, for this experiment that we're all sort of a part of today, to sort of reflect on what's happening here. That's right. At each of the green dots, it's been going up, and at each of the red dots, it's been going down. And I'll make it a little simpler to see. We'll take one of the sets of signals off. No need to know about those just yet. And this is a fun one. I like to play with this one. Everywhere you see a large green dot, Steve, whoop, is a full moon. Did you know that? I have customers who've made tens of thousands of dollars off of this. And this is free. This is something people have known about for centuries. And so this idea of markets not being predictive, I think it's hokum. I believe there's a group of people in big mahogany-laden offices who don't want you to know that this is happening. How many of you guys believe that markets are rigged to some extent? And there's sort of a cabal of people who don't want you to know what's up. Yeah? So here's a word to the wise. This is what's been going on in gold. And in the upper right corner, it's telling me, hey, white man, moon large in sky 5 days from now. Watch horizon in 5 sunsets. Large moon rise over horizon. And what do you think's going to happen? If you had to guess, when we got to 5 days from now, what do you think's going to happen? Maybe, just maybe, is it worth, Stephen, risking a little bit of money on a swing trade, maybe a micro gold contract, to see if the price is going to go up like it has in the past? That would be, at the very least, you're curious about it now, like I was when we started this whole thing. You'd be even more curious when it came to a quote like this. Hang on. I want to introduce you to somebody. I probably should escape out of here. Where is he? There he is. Because I wasn't the first guy who's known about this stuff. Apparently, the richest man on earth, or at least in the United States, knew about this stuff. And how many of you with a JP Morgan investment retirement fund, you get that phone call once a week letting you know that there's another signal coming up? How many people at an Edward Jones, your fund manager calls you up and says, hey, just want to let you know this is going on? This guy knew it was going on, and he became the richest man in the world. And this is free. This isn't even something that we're talking about. And by the way, if you think your market is special, it's not. It's really not. Who's ever heard of something called Bitcoin? Has anyone heard of anything called Bitcoin? The kids talk about it at the arcades lately. I heard a couple kids talking about it near a Donkey Kong machine. And Stephen, check out what happens when we put those same signals on the market the kids are trading all day lately. I'm going to say it again. Everywhere you see a large green dot is a full moon. Everyone repeat after me. Everywhere you see a large red dot, no moon in sky, dark sky. Steve, what's going on? I believe, let's pause right here, because we're going to look at some pretty weird stuff here in a minute. And a few of you don't feel well right now. You feel a little nervous. My stomach hurts. Oh. This is publicly available information. You can go to Google or Safari, or Microsoft, having spent billions of dollars on AI, would love it if you use Bing. They're like, hey, Bing is back. AI is in Skype. Please use Skype again. It can tell you the weather. However you want to look it up. The people at Apple are like, how do we get AI? We were working on a self-driving car, and I don't think we're going to do that anymore. We should probably, no one's buying these goggles either, so we should probably buy up all the AI companies. Use Safari, Google, Bing, whatever you're doing over there, and just type lunar phase dates 2024, full moon, new moon 2024, and all the dates are there. They're all there. We know them for the next 100 years. To the second, when the moon goes, I can't take it anymore, I'm so full. But no one talks about this. No one talks about this. How many of you remember Jeffrey Epstein? What does that have to do with this stuff? I have the kind of mind where when something doesn't make sense, it stays in there and it rattles around like one of those snowballs in a Bugs Bunny cartoon that gets bigger and bigger, like a hailstone that bounces around in the upper atmosphere and goes from a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch to an inch in diameter, just bouncing around. And someone once said, a man that I follow on social media, he said, pay attention to what the media isn't reporting. Pay attention to the questions people aren't asking. And so this man was in the financial community. He was in the investment community. And he said, none of us had ever seen or heard of a single trade that Jeffrey Epstein ever made. Why is no one asking where any of the money came from? My wife and I watch a lot of cooking shows. We became big fans of a program called Top Chef. And they had Tom Colicchio, Padma Lakhi, and one other person, Gail, somebody from Food and Wine magazine. And every once in a while, they would bring the top chefs of the world together. Eric Rupert, Anthony Bourdain's friend, and all these different chefs. And they all knew each other. They were familiar with each other's recipes. Hey, how you doing? Big hugs at the reunion shows. And this man said, none of us had ever heard of Jeffrey Epstein or a single trade he'd ever taken or where any of his money had come from. Why isn't anyone reporting that? If this is Bitcoin, how come no one's talking about it? Fortunes are made and lost in Bitcoin every day. Countries are changing out their currencies. You have these troublemaking countries down in Central America and South America, and some poor little man walks out and he goes, today we are going to adopt the Bitcoin as the national currency of this country. And everyone up north is like, bah! We're supposed to have a national currency first. Ah! And in the meantime, I went off the rails a little there, didn't I? Here's what Bitcoin does. So I want you to see, I want to tell you something no one wants you to hear. I believe this. No one wants you to hear this. Lunar phase chart calendar 2024. I can't type. So here you go. I'll put this link in the chat box. I'm telling you this because I want you to see how real it is. I have customers that make a lot of money using this, and it's free. And look, Stephen, if I want to know what it is for 2025, boom. These are the dates for 2025. Meaning Bitcoin is likely to go up January 13th, February 12th, March 14th, April 12th, May 12th, November 5th, and December 4th of 2025. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Any questions about the idea, the principles surrounding, and I know why this happens, by the way. I can tell you why this works. What are the machinations that cause these moves to occur? It could take a while. I could tell you, and you would know, and it's real. And right now, there's 1,000 questions. Well, if this is so real, how come I could see your office should have a giant fish tank with albino sharks swimming around and an 80-inch TV, and you should have a trophy wife coming in and bringing you champagne? Relax. Get all the questions out of your brain. and then go back and look at this chart and put the dates on there yourself. Load up a Bitcoin chart. Forget all the ugly questions that are roiling through your brain right now. Process the fact that I've told you something, you have all the data, and you can come verify it on this chart. Everybody okay with that before I go back to the other stuff? We have, as a species, incredible propensities for self-sabotage. And when I show people this stuff, Steve, they go off the rails. They start looking at motives and questioning things, and it's like, here's the information. I don't have a ulterior motive for giving it to you for free. Look for yourself. So the neat part about Warp is it's a data mining engine. It's nothing related to the lunar phases or fields or solar cycles, although they are all connected in a way. But what it's doing is it's saying, look, if I go back and I look historically, recently, for times where the market has been going up and down, are there any times where it's consistently going down or up lately? And so it goes back across the last several weeks and it looks for the times where moves are occurring with irregular regularity. Irregular regularity. They keep going up and down at those times for no obvious reasons. Walter, I was using a program called Daily Cycle Markers from our alpha package, which tracks the lunar phases, first quarter, second quarter, third, and fourth quarter. That was not Warp. We can put Warp on a Bitcoin chart and get some pretty cool results, but I wanted to build the premise, Walt, that the markets were not random and were predictable in a real sense. Does that premise make sense, Walter? I need people to kind of believe that what I'm about to show them isn't out in left field, that we can know a polarity of a signal in the future. Full moon 5 days from now, new moon 24 days from now. Predictable. So what Warp does, in the same spirit, along the same lines, in the same vein, as it were, hang on, Bharat, is looking for these ripples in time, these moves that keep happening over and over again. And so I want you to look with me now, today, at what happened at these times on the E-mini S&P chart. Ready? I'm just going to pull this over here real quick, and then we'll scoot it around. Just so you know, I'm not jerking your gherkin here. The 705 signal came from this chart. So 705, 705. 820, right before the report this morning, 820. The 610 signal is over here. And then the 925 signal at the open. And then the 1040 signal at the open. So Snowman, how long were those signals in the public sphere? Steve. Ravi. What's up, Robbie? How long? 2 days. It says so right here. You could subpoena the web server company who hosts our website and say, Mr. Web Server person, remember you're under oath here. Permission to treat the witness as hostile, Your Honor. Go ahead, I'll allow it. Mr. Web Server, when in fact was this information posted on this website?
It was posted approximately 2 days ago, Your Honor.
Approximately?
2 days and 14 hours and 22 minutes, Your Honor.
Well, that's impossible, because that would mean the E-mini S&P was predictable 2 days in advance, prior to a very large economic report, the unemployment report, Your Honor. Is it impossible? Sorry about the impersonations today. I'm a little off the rails. I'm having fun. I'm just having fun. But Stephen, at these times that were published 2 days ago, some really interesting things are happening, aren't they? Let's erase all the drawings. If you shorted at the open this morning and you put a stop above that 925 candle, your risk was $5. It had a maximum favorable excursion of $21.50. That's 4-to-1. If you purchased at the 1040 signal and you put your stop right under the candle, your risk was $2.25. Your maximum favorable excursion was $16.25. If you sold at 125, it came right up and took your stop out at minus $9. It was 1 bar off and eventually finishes over here about $3 down. The next signal at the close at 350 below the moving average. It's still dropping down now about $9. So we're seeing a universe where these moves are relatively predictable, right? Let's look at another. Now, what I want you to see before we continue, before I forget, it wasn't just yesterday, or today rather. It was yesterday too. If you come and look at the times that were published on the S&P 5-minute chart for Wednesday, the forecast started at 220. You see here, Steve, 220, 320, 355, 455, 620, and so on. Can you see what happens at the Asian session and the London session signals? I want you to look at the entirety of when the program told us to wait for moves that were likely to occur again. This was yesterday. Yesterday was bananas. Absolutely bananas. I traded with a group yesterday all morning and afternoon. It was fun. How is this happening? How can we know? The very first signal on the first day was 220 up. And then one of those signals was 355 up. One of those was 455 down. And then 620 up. 820 right before the econ, straight down. Up again at 9:05, down at 11 o'clock until 12:15, and then the next leg down at 12:35. And then look, 12:55 after a big stop run candle up into 140. And at the 140 candle, it looks like a small move down, but that's $8.50. That's a pretty big move down. You would have been break even, if nothing else, at 140. With times that have been available at that point for 1 day. Times that were available for 1 day. This will work on any time frame chart. Now, I want to show you something, Walter. We'll look at the 3-minute. But I want you to see, Stephen, where the times are coming from, because I saw something really interesting today. The software is looking for patterns 14 days ago and 7 days ago of each of the trading days. So, Steve, it goes back 1 week and 2 weeks and looks for the times that the market is moving with irregular regularity. Rob, does that make sense? Right now, the way the program is set up, the way I've had it running for 15 years in the demos, it goes back 1 week, and Stephen, it goes back 2 weeks, and then projects those times forward 7 days into the future. So we have the times for the E-mini S&P 5-minute chart for tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week right now. Do you get that? Walter, does that make sense? The signals were known about a week in the future. We gave them out on Tuesday, but we've had them for a week. Tell me if that's confusing, and I can show you one graphic about that if it helps. Or are we okay? Is anyone else having issues with my audio? Cutting in half the time? Or going out at all? Or is it constant for you? Okay. You are the only one, Rob. So think about that in a calendar. Whoa, what was that guy doing over here? I want to show you the graphic because the next thing I want to show you, it kind of blew my mind when I checked it. For the last 15 years, every webinar, my settings are the same, except for the ES daily chart, which is a little different. So for today, today's a Thursday, the program looked at the market these 2 days, and it said, hey, what times did the market go up and down regularly on the 11th and the 4th? So, Robert, at the close of the 11th, at the close of market of the 11th, we had all the data we needed to do the bebop analysis and then come back with the histogram, okay? At the close of the bell on last Thursday, ding, 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 we had all the times ready for next Thursday. If we use that same technique, it's already got the dates, movements from this Thursday and last Thursday. And now we're ready. We have the times all the way for next Thursday. Walter, tell me if that makes sense. I'm looking at a 2-week window and projecting 1 week forward using what I've called a vertical analysis. Is everyone understanding this, or have I pushed the cranial limits too far? These signals on this chart were known about 1 week ago. If I come here and I scrunch my chart forward, I have the charts days into the future. Here's the 23rd. You guys hearing this, or did I just lose everybody? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay. Now, when I applied that same analysis to this chart, I want you to see it's the same settings as what I've been using on the other charts. So you know the other charts were at least 2 days in the future. I've just told you it's 1 week in the future. What is this chart? Does anyone recognize this symbol? Anyone? He's in the news. Love him or hate him, he's it there. Maybe the best marketer of all time. DJT, Donald Trump. Do you guys know what the news was talking about today for Mr. Trump and DJT? Let me see if I can find it. It was all over everywhere. Trump media tells shareholders how to block their stock being loaned to short sellers. This is today, updated 3 hours ago. The people who are manipulating this stock are telling the other people, hide your shares from short sellers. And there are explicit instructions to show them how to move their shares to cash accounts and decline to loan them to short sellers. Now, this is the report 3 hours ago. This is when the thing came out. How old are these signals? How old are the signals? That's right, 1 week old. 1 week old, not 2. I'm not that good. What were we expecting at 10 a.m.? What were we expecting at 10:45? What were we expecting at 11:25? What were we expecting at 12:45? What were we expecting from 2:15 to 3:15 and now 4 o'clock to 4:50? What is going on? What is going on? And I said to myself, if the moon controls or predicts the movements of Bitcoin, and Tesla stock on a daily chart looks as manipulated as this, I wonder if the champion of freedom and independence, who's got no manipulation whatsoever, he's a free man, independently wealthy, doesn't need anybody. Holy cow, that stock is manipulated. These signals shouldn't work. And guess what? I already have the times for tomorrow and the next day. Look, and the next day and the next day. They're all here. And by now, this is when you start to realize that most of you have been playing this game thinking it was Candyland, and it's really Monopoly. You're playing with two sets of concepts that aren't matching. You have the rules from Candyland, and the pieces are on a Monopoly board. These people are brutally, mercilessly manipulating every market that you're willing to play. It's like walking into a casino and Steve, you go, that slot machine over there, that one's going to make me $1 million. There's something about that machine. I feel lucky. I'm going to trade DJT because that stock, woo! And everybody that was short got ripped out, and you bought at 10 o'clock, 11:25, 2:15, calls on every one of those times are in the money right away. What's happening? So, yeah, man, all of these signals are telling us something about the larger world. This is the E-mini S&P daily chart right here. And I want you to see that it works on higher time frames. In the same way we were watching on a 1 minute or a 3 or a 5 minute chart, we can apply those signals to a larger time frame. The very last signal coming into Wednesday, yesterday, was a sell signal. April 10th. How long was the sell signal supposed to last? Until yesterday. There's another sell signal coming on Friday, the 19th. And that lasts until when? Wednesday, the 24th. Now, if you're watching at home, these settings don't match conventional settings. I'm using a 1, 2, 3 look back with a trading day origination mode instead of calendar and a swing strength of 5. That's the only chart you'll see me use today with a different setting. And I've consistently used that setting for almost a year on this chart. But look at all the other times the program warned us of an up move. The move on the 14th of November, the 23rd of November, December 11th, January 11th, January 29th, February 19th, and so on. These were all windows that the program said buying is likely to occur from the white dot to the next blue time. Make sense? Yeah. So if we come here and we look at a daily chart for Tesla, and we put those same signals on top, Steve, what's the outlook for Mr. Musk looking like? From now until May 13th. No me gusta, no bueno. There is a sell signal from Thursday, April 18th until Monday, May 13th. I talked about this on my social media channels, on my Instagram and on my TikTok channel. I told everyone, hey, we're still in a downtrend. 18th until the 13th. No robo-taxis, no rusty cyber trucks, no stupid Optimus robot is going to stop. The blood is in the water. Here we go. And then if we apply the same chart to Bitcoin, not using the moon this time, here's what we got. According to this, the next push up for Bitcoin is on April 29th. The last prediction was on April 3rd, February 25th, and then January 22nd. Using the same technique. Any questions about this? For ES tomorrow, here's what I'm saying. The most information I have, right? If we look at a 3-minute chart on the ES, I'm looking at 7:03, 7:54, 8:45, 9:54, 11 o'clock, 11:57, 11:18, 10:42, 9:06, 8:33, and 7:27. That's what I'm saying. If I want to look at a higher time frame, I'm looking at an up move at 9 p.m. tonight, a down move at 3 a.m. tonight, and an up move tomorrow from 9 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. If we go out to the daily chart, I'm in a long window now until Friday, and then down from the 19th until the 24th. And I'm not saying it, Walter, what I'm saying is, here's the thing that really messes people's noggins up, really bakes their noodles. The only reason those signals are there in the future is because there's a frequently occurring historical pattern lately. There's a frequently recurring pattern lately. So imagine You get a knock on your door at 11 o'clock. Who's there? Flowers. Oh, very nice. Hands you flowers. There's no note. 11 o'clock the next day. Mr. Walter, hi, flowers. Oh, thank you. The very next day, 3 days in a row, 11 o'clock, you're standing by the door. Hey, Mr. Flower Guy. Hey, Walter, what's up? Here's your flowers. And then the fourth day at 10:59, you're at your door. All right. You're waiting for, because there's a behavior pattern that's repeating. That's all this program is doing. And so the reason there's a signal on the 19th is because on a daily time frame, that's a behavior pattern. I'm making your dog growl. The thought of making your dog nuts right now is electrifying to me. Anyway, that's what those patterns are for, right? So if you look at oil futures, right? Here's this morning's signals for oil futures. Oil opens around 9 o'clock today. Doesn't seem to matter in the Middle East. It seems like they had a plan. That's a 1-minute chart. Here's a 3-minute chart of oil futures. Now, the signals aren't 100%, unfortunately. I don't have the Bernie Madoff module operating yet, where every signal is a winner. The Jeffrey Epstein filter is not in place. They don't do it every single time, but they do it a majority of the time. A majority of the time, the signals that we're waiting for are producing movements in the direction we're expecting them to. Use it as a trend filter, use it as an entry. It's up to you. If you've been trading gold futures, here's a fun story. One of the largest fines that JP Morgan ever paid. JP Morgan, if you're not familiar, remember that nutty guy who said you could use astronomy to make billions? Well, they got a fine for $1 billion for manipulating a market. Let me find it for you. JP Morgan agrees to pay $920 million in connection with schemes. That's such a great word, isn't it? You schemer. To defraud precious metals markets, in particular gold futures. And they caught them. And in their elaborate plan, making millions of dollars, way more than they lost to these fines, they utilized a technique known as spoofing. Spoofing means the orders that you saw on your dome when you were trading gold futures weren't on the dome. They weren't actually orders. It's what Matthew McConaughey in The Wolf of Wall Street called a fugazi. A fugazi, it's a what's it, it's a woozy. It's invisible, it's unreal. They made orders appear that weren't there. Well, guess what? That's this market. And when we used a 2-week look back and a 1-week projection, and we went and said, there's no way JP's going to rig this market again. Holy crap, they're doing it at 8:35. Well, maybe it's just this one last time. And they shorted it at 9:55. And they pushed it up from 10 o'clock until 10:35. And they drove it down at 10:35. And they drove it up at lunchtime. and there's this little down move here at 250. They never stopped because they make more money than they lose in fines. It's a great business. It's a great business model. Can we use full moons and new moons to predict this stuff? Sure. Look at yesterday. Look at yesterday. Every one of those signals was a time that we knew about for 1 week, you knew about for 1 day in the future. And at 10:15, short selling. At 3:45, long selling. Let's go. I'm ready. They're still doing it. There's a fund. I'll make this point before we move on. Let me find this. You're going to love this. For retail traders looking to mimic the investment moves of Nancy Pelosi and other lawmakers, there are in fact 2 ETFs designed specifically for this purpose. The Subversive Unusual Whales Democratic ETF and the Subversive Unusual Whales Republican ETF. You can literally invest in a fund that buys and sells when members of the Congress and Senate buy and sell. Did you know that existed? Some of you are scrambling and writing it down and screenshotting right now. This is a real thing. Do you know why this is a real thing? Because this is how the world works. And when you wake up and try to trade it like, I don't know, what's the unemployment report going to be? Is it good news or bad news? What does the guru think over here? I'll use this new system that I just paid $30,000 for that I don't really understand, but I won't admit it because I feel stupid. It's none of that. It's, we've known the signals for DJT for a week. We've known the signals for gold for a week. There's a plan. There's a plan. It's more like The Godfather. The markets are more like The Godfather than any other movie. It's not a romantic comedy. It's dark and manipulative and illegal, I think, in some sense. Any questions about this? I'm a little dramatic, but I need you to understand what's really going on here. So when we were using lunar and solar signals a minute ago, Stanley, these are the same settings for gold futures on a daily chart using data mining. Doesn't even use the sun or the moon. When does the gold move stop according to this and start again? Stops on April 22nd and starts on May 21st. Yeah, the settings for the ES chart, 100%, whatever you need, Stanley. Let me know when you got that. I found that works really well. I don't know why it's different, but it works well. Anything else anybody's interested in analyzing while I'm in full-blown analyzation mode? Because we put out times for all sorts of markets. We put them out for the daily, no, we didn't do daily. We did the ES, Euro currency, gold, oil, NASDAQ, Euro dollar, pound dollar, Ethereum. That's just for the daily, Jeff. It seems to work really well on that one for the ES. Yeah, you're very welcome. These were the times today for Bitcoin. We can also look at Ethereum and sort of see that same technique. The nice thing about Bitcoin and Ethereum is they're just trading 24/7. What happened to soybeans since last week? I don't know. Want to take a look? We can take a look. We were looking for it to go down, I think, right, Stanley? I'd have to go back and look at the webinar. I think the signal was a short signal on the 12th. Yeah, there we go. So again, the same settings. 714.00, swing strength 8. And after the webinar closed on Thursday, we had a signal for the 12th. It closed high and drove down. How far? 43. $43 move down. So that trend isn't over yet. The earliest, Stanley, I expect that to reverse or stop is April 25th. April 25th is the first time I expect that to stop. There's also a way, Stanley, to measure how far that move might go. Check it out. I grab that candle and I pull down to the white dot. I grab this one, I pull down to the white dot. Grab this one, pull down to the white dot. Grab this one, down to the white dot. This one actually went against us, but that's not happening here. So Stanley, look, I can put it on the candle. Let's get that other one out of here and get a sense of how far it's likely to go based on how far it's gone in the past at a sell signal. Some people really like this technique. And we already know it's not going up, it went the other direction. So Stanley, according to this, we've hit the minimum amount that it's already gone down historically right here. So there's two arrows between 1128 and 1132. You with me? The next arrow down is somewhere around the 1120, and the most we can expect it to go based on how far it's gone lately is around 1110. Does that make sense, brother? So we've hit the minimum. The median is somewhere around 1120, and the maximum is somewhere around 1110. Yeah, we call this an exertion analysis. How far has the market exerted itself at those times? The last several times or more, half dozen times, there was a sell signal. How far did they push? That's an area we're researching right now for our Aurora plugin, an exertion analysis. How far do we expect it to go? We know the when. How about the where? Pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool. So that's the tail end of what we're talking about here. We're trying to replicate what the big guys are doing, and I think we have a pretty good feel for it. We're emulating what great men like William Delbert Gann attempted to accomplish, focusing specifically on time and the predictive nature of time. It's a lot easier, in my opinion. You're expecting something. You're playing a game where you're expecting something as opposed to being surprised all the time. It's like walking behind an elephant and someone says, hey, Walter, in exactly 13 minutes, there's going to be a package delivered from this elephant's rear end. Some of you would rather walk behind the elephant and never know And I think there's a better way. At the beginning of this webinar, we said, hey, is it possible to know when these moves are likely to occur in the future? I would posit at the end of our hour that yes, it is possible. There's a probability of it happening, in fact. And so I would encourage those of you who want to know more and get started with the program, you can visit us at backtothefuturetrading.com. And when you get to the homepage, go to the product store, and the one you need to start with is TachEon Warp. There's a purchase button at the bottom of the page. You can get started today. This is a plugin for NinjaTrader. You can have access to any market Ninja has access data to. Bitcoin, Ethereum, futures markets, forex feeds with a forex data feed, stocks, options, all of these things are available. Any questions before we sign off for this weekend? If you have any questions, you can send me emails, Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, at backtothefuture, singular, backtothefuturetrading.com, and I'll be happy to help you out. Everyone, I'm kind of toasted. This has been a long week, tons and tons of training, lots of cool thoughts and things in my head rattled out and spewed out into the ether web here. I hope it was useful for you. For some of you, this may be the thing you've been thinking about, hoping for, praying for, whatever that means for you. And I hope that if that's the case, you'll step forward and let us work with you, teach you, train you, and show you how to use this so you have a little more control in the markets that you're trading. Don't be afraid. Come at it with a sense of confidence as opposed to fear. May the wind be at your backs. May the sun may the sons of Andor, Ewoks. No, those are two different Star Wars references. May the sun shine on your face. May the valleys rise up to meet you and the mountains lay low before you. I am for you. I am your biggest virtual fan. I know you can do this. I've seen other people do it. I watch them do it every day. I watch these signals every day. I see it happening every single day for 15 years. I would wager emphatically that I know more about these time signals than nearly everyone else on the planet. And it takes a degree of insanity to go after this and look at it and study it. It's a mind bender. But I've seen it, and I can tell you that it's real and that it's changed the lives of other traders before you. And you can read about that on our Trustpilot review page at trustpilot.com. Type Back to the Future Trading and read what other people have had to say. And be encouraged. Wherever you're at, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I know that you're going to make it through. I really, truly believe that. So hang in there. It's going to be okay. Those of you that are customers here today, I love you. I appreciate you. I really, honestly, truly do. Thank you for your support and helping us get the word out to the trading community. Without your support, none of this is possible. And so thanks again. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you back on the other side next week. Remember, the market you trade, in my opinion, is not random. You can know the times in advance. They're ready for tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, next week. And if you can know them and you choose not to, is what you're doing really trading, or is it more like gambling? It's okay to stop if you don't know the answer to that question, because you can lose more than everything. You can lose your job, your family, your spouse, your house, your business. I've seen people go to jail. It's a nasty business. Very little upside for some people and a lot of downside potential. So if you're looking at this and saying, hey, I can know these times and I don't want to, I would love to just let it ride, put it all on black, woohoo! You're better off going to Vegas, because at least you get a free buffet and an Elvis concert when you lose your money. When JP takes yours, it's gone. gone forever. Anyway, see you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, welcome to our new customers. And I can't wait to work with you and help you get trained and started and set up on this and seeing these times for yourself in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.